What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with another TIL video. Now we hope you've been enjoying our new feature that looks at some of wrestling's most interesting happenings and facts. Join us now as Wrestlelamia presents Today I Learned Episode 3, Wrestling's First Kayfabe Death. Wrestling is known for its over-the-top storylines, but up until recently, kayfabe deaths were non-existent. While wrestlers might threaten to beat an opponent within an inch of their life, and sometimes did, fans didn't mourn the loss of a superstar who got beat to death by an opponent. That is until the WWF started running storylines that dealt with the on-screen or off-screen death of a wrestler or character. Now, don't get us wrong, we're not talking about wrestlers who have actually died in the ring, but storyline deaths of a wrestler or others involved with the wrestler. We're also not talking about the WWE's disturbing habit of using the deaths of wrestlers to forward a storyline, whether it was Randy Orton taunting Rey Mysterio that Eddie Guerrero was burning in hell, or CM Punk using the death of The Undertaker's manager Paul Bearer during their program heading into WrestleMania 29. But let's get into the facts, as the first instance of a wrestler being portrayed as having died due to the effects of a match was when The Undertaker battled Yokozuna at the 1994 Royal Rumble pay-per-view, apparently dying as his spirit ascended somewhere, either to the closest beer stand or perhaps some supernatural realm. During the segment, The Undertaker seemingly self-destructed in the coffin, to which a mysterious smoke then escaped from the coffin, and also The Undertaker himself, as he descended to the heavens above. However, you might not know that during The Undertaker's descent to the heavens, or wherever he was going, it obviously wasn't him, as he was in the coffin. But who was the man who played The Undertaker? Well, many storylines in wrestling all point to the belief that it was Marty Jannetty who played the illustrious part of the dead man. However, when asked in a Facebook post about the event in question, Jannetty denied it and mentioned that it was the WWF's resident jobber Steve Brooklyn Brawler Lombardi who played the part, but ultimately Jannetty could have been joking, as Bruce Pritchard mentioned in his podcast Something to Wrestle With, that it was a Providence, Rhode Island local indie wrestler. Okay, we may have moved slightly off topic there, but it's something some fans may find interesting. But The Undertaker was a character who would die in a storyline several times, including his many deaths in Buried Alive matches. Since The Undertaker has been portrayed as an undead being, it's arguable his so-called storyline deaths shouldn't count. While fans have many great memories from the Attitude Era, they weren't all solid gold storylines, as the next storyline death involved the death of an animal, Al Snow's dog Pepper. Now, despite your best efforts to repress this memory, you'll likely recall the awful storyline when the Big Boss Man dognapped Snow's pet pooch, then tricked him into eating it. This led to the equally reviled Kennel from Hell match at 1999's aptly named Unforgiven pay-per-view. Another awful death-related storyline also involved the Big Boss Man and the Big Show. The Boss Man was working a program against Show that got very personal when it was revealed that Big Show's father had been diagnosed with terminal cancer. In true heel form, the Boss Man exploited the diagnosis, at one point tricking Show into thinking his father had died. When the Big Show's father died in the storyline, the Boss Man took things to new depths of tastelessness, crashing the funeral and stealing the casket. Although this segment is not without its fans for its sheer ridiculousness. In reality, Show's dad had passed away years before, but the WWF felt it was worth digging up. But despite these kayfabe deaths, Wrestlelamia feels the one that best meets the requirement of a storyline death involving an active on-screen character is that of Tori Wilson's father, Al Wilson. The WWE brought Tori's actual dad into play a program during her feud against the sultry Dawn Marie. To many fans' surprise, and Al Wilson's delight, Dawn began dating Al with a summer-winter romance leading to an unlikely engagement. Dawn Marie told Wilson she'd end the engagement if Tori spent a night with her at a local motel, but reneged on her word. Ultimately, Al married Dawn during an episode of SmackDown in early 2003, in their underwear of course, but tragedy struck the next week when fans learned Al had died from overexertion during a night of honeymoon passion. Tori and Dawn Marie would continue their feud, including a stepdaughter versus stepmother match. The Al Wilson storyline best fits the bill for wrestling's first storyline death because it dealt with a character who was seen on screen and who suffered a kayfabe death in the present. While The Undertaker has died, he was portrayed as an undead character during his first few deaths, his death as the human American badass / big evil persona taking place at 2003 Survivor Series pay-per-view several months after Al Wilson's death. The death of The Undertaker's parents was mentioned, but they were never on-screen characters when their deaths were mentioned by Paul Bearer and Kane, and they took place many years before, at least in storyline. Likewise, The Big Show's dad was not an ongoing character portrayed on screen, although his death was mentioned as having taken place at the time. As for Al Snow's doggy delicacy Pepper, if you think Wrestlelamia is going to waste your time explaining why Pepper's tragic demise doesn't qualify, think again. But there you have it guys, wrestling's first kayfabe death, and episode 3 of Today I Learned Wrestling. We hope you're enjoying our new series, and if so, are there any Today I Learned subjects you'd like us to cover? Be sure to leave your comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.